girl. Hello, ladies. You curious, sweet angels. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roots Refuge. Maya got the greenhouse all cleared out and tidied yesterday evening. We were supposed to do it during the day, and then he got caught up doing something else. So last night he started, and it was right in the middle of dinner, so I'm never upset whenever I have to miss out on a cleaning job. I told him, I was like, you want to wait? I'll be available. He's like, no, I'm just going to do it myself. But yeah, he's getting ready to get started. He was working last night, getting everything moved out, but then getting ready to start the water lines because he's stubbing out a water line into the greenhouse, and then he's going to start on the construction stuff. It is hot in here. Someone said the other day, does it really get to be 100 degrees in your greenhouse? So there's your answer. Yes, it does. Here's our incredible anti-freeze technology. We have buckets over all of the faucets right now, and everything is turned off. So I'm just going to turn this on real quick, and then make sure I turn it back off so it doesn't freeze tonight. I actually decided to go about it a little differently than I normally do to water the plants in the greenhouse. I'm just going to tote that bucket of water. I just don't want to risk forgetting to turn this off, so it's probably a little harder, but sometimes we have to make concessions for our weaknesses. Am I right? Hello, avocado kitty. Hey, what you doing, girl? I'm not trying to water these a ton, especially since Maya may need to work around them and move them around. I don't want them to be like full of water in the trays or anything, but I also don't want them to dry out when it's so sunny. And I mean, if the door gets shut again and it's 100 degrees in here again, that could be really detrimental if they get dry. Maya made a comment about this poor, very sorely neglected aloe plant that was out here. This plant needs like a theme song because it is such a survivor. It lived through the whole summer out here in the in the greenhouse, like really hardly getting cared for. And of course it's all browned up on the ends, but I promise you, if you're killing aloe vera plants because you're caring for them too much. I think Avocado Kitty is pretty irked that her house, her hangout, has been all mixed up. And her chair is here, it's just over here in the corner. I don't know that she's found it. She is most certainly the queen of that castle. Sweet little garden kitty. I sure do like her. She snuck up on me. Hey, chickens. Hey, sir. Isn't he shiny and handsome? Cock-a-doodle-doo! We're in a Rooster Crow Showdown. They'll go back and forth probably the rest of the time that I'm out here. It's funny. They were quiet when I walked down here, but they got to go, and I may have riled them up a little bit. It's really no wonder I end up with clothes all over my farm. I have to go do a roundup like every few days because I'll have all my jackets and my hoodies and sweatshirts will just be all over the dang place because of conditions like this where it's like 40 degrees outside, 40 Fahrenheit, 4 Celsius, and then inside these spaces it feels like summer. It's like humid and very hot, and just within a few minutes of like moving around in here, I've definitely thawed out. I'm pretty sure watering the plants in the high tunnel when it's really cold outside is just as much good for me as it is good for the plants, because it sends the humidity up through the roof in this really, you know, warm space, which of course probably why some of my cauliflowers are having issues is from not enough airflow, which is fine. We have plans for fans and stuff like that down here, but we don't have the power run yet. It's on the list. Highly humid greenhouses may not be great for cauliflowers, but they're certainly lovely for frost tender farm girls like me. All right, 90s kids, what does this evoke for you? Is it Fern Gully, Land Before Time? Seeing water pooled in a leaf just takes me back to childhood moments. Seeing things like this, they always felt so magical. I could just stay in the space and soak it up for the next 2 hours until the sun went down and I got miserably cold. But I have to be a mom and shuttle kids this evening. So, alas, I cannot. Maybe next time. So I'm curious because I'm like cluelessly southern, and in Arkansas we had colder winters than we have in South Carolina. I know it's been extremely cold, like very sub-zero in Arkansas the last couple weeks, but never for very long. And a lot of times, I mean, we might have a handful of days that it doesn't get above freezing, but a lot of times, even though it would get cold at night, it would still get up at least sunny and close enough to thaw during the day that things would thaw. What do you do to water your farm when everything is like, when all of you who live in places that's like -40, like what do you do? I can't even conceptualize this. I mean, I guess you've dug your water lines a lot deeper and you're just more prepared for it, but I'm feeling incredibly inconvenienced by just having to turn the water on and off. I put this bucket over it, which I realize is like poor little rich girl kind of complaining comparatively, you know, like, okay, it was 20 last night, brr, so cold, but like, those of you who live in places that are Arctic and literally dangerously cold, I mean, I guess in some places you like keep your animals all indoors, like in barns and stuff like that, and keep your chickens inside coops, but what do you do for water? You just have to tote water? I'm genuinely asking, like, educate me, because I really don't know. I cannot fathom what it's like to farm in insanely cold places. And I know there's systems, I know people do it, and I know in a lot of ways it's better because you don't deal with the deathly heat that we deal with in the summer, or the, well, I don't know. Anytime I say I live where snakes can kill you, people are like, hey, it gets really cold here and snakes can kill you. So, I don't know. I say that I sweat my tail off all summer so that I don't have to tote water in the winter, but I am curious, like, what are your systems? Please tell me. Oh, I just want to go sit back in there. The high tunnels are on 2 separate spigots, so I gotta turn this one on so I can water the other tunnel. Y'all, these are the stumps from the okra that was here. Isn't that insane? That's huge. It looks like trees, but it was okra plants. You birds are looking majestic. You beautiful backlit birds. You just gonna let them talk smack like that to you? You heard that. Oh, I don't have a sprayer on this one. A lot of those kinds of things don't really last super long, and so by the end of the season, a lot of them end up being broken, and I have to buy a couple of new ones by spring. You know how everybody says don't grocery shop hungry, because obviously like you go in hungry and you're more prone to do impulse buys and get things you don't really need, because whenever you see them you're hungry and you want them, so you're more likely to buy them. When I garden hungry, I will see things like I just saw those little yellow beets popping up, and it's not the same thing, because obviously like the danger in the grocery store is you're going to fill your cart, blow your budget, buy food you don't really want to eat, you know, and it maybe not hang on to the goals you walked in with. But in the garden, I will garden hungry, and then I'll end up getting like a really big craving for something. Ezra says he has a crave. So I'll end up getting a crave for something, and then it'll completely blow my dinner plans, because like I see those beets and I'm like, man, beets sounds so good right now. Now I don't have any yellow beets in the house, but I do have some red beets that are pickled in jars, and so I'll end up going in and like eating half a jar of beets an hour and a half before dinner, and then not having an appetite at dinner, or even worse, feeling so full or having no appetite, and then I don't want to cook dinner for everybody else, which is really a problem. Thankfully today dinner's already in the crock pot, so I might end up eating beets for dinner. Alright, I have a lot of young seedlings out here, so I wanted to make sure they all got a little bit of water. It's late in the evening. I may do it a little more thoroughly in the morning. Look at those baby carrots, aren't they so cute? So my oldest son, Jackson, is a senior in high school. He just turned 18 a couple months ago, and he's getting ready to graduate this year. And I was doing his senior ad for the yearbook the other day. I was laying it out and getting all the pictures, and of course I've been going through all the old hard drives and finding all these old pictures of Jackson, and of course Asher as well. They're 18 months apart, so finding little pictures of Jackson is in a lot of ways finding little pictures of Asher too. And it's crazy to me because like so many of the pictures, which now I look at and think, God, look how little they are. Look how young they are. I remember taking those pictures and thinking, look how big they are. Look how grown up they are. And I was just thinking about it. It was very bittersweet laying that ad out. I don't think we talk enough about the grief that comes in raising babies, and how you can feel just an insurmountable pride that they're growing up and that they're turning into wonderful people, and the choices that they're making and the lives that they're building themselves. You know, like you feel so much pride, but then at the same time you just feel such a terrible grief for your children that aren't there anymore. You know, they're not children anymore. They're turning into, you know, young men. But very bittersweet going through it. And I just walked in this garden and I was looking at all these little seedlings, and it's so wild. I think this is why I love capturing things so much. I love telling the story with the video camera, with photography. I've always loved capturing things because I'm acutely aware that in one moment you can look at something and say, wow, look how far along it is, and that down the road you can look back at it and go, oh man, there was still so much growth that was going to happen. And it's why I love encouraging people to document their gardens, you know, like take photos of your gardens. And you can't ever fully trust how you're feeling in the moment to be the standing truth as time goes by. And I had somebody comment on a video in here in the high tunnel a few months ago, and it was when it was still really lush and full. And it's crazy because at the time of shooting that video I was thinking, oh, the garden looks like such a mess, it's so overgrown, it's so wild. And then from this point of view, I look at it and go, oh man, it's so full of life, it's so beautiful, it's so fruitful. And I mean, this is the beauty and why it's wonderful that we can feel more than one thing at a time. You know, everything doesn't have to be good or bad or happy or sad. Sometimes it's bittersweet. Sometimes it's it's beautiful, even though it's not exactly where you remember it being great or where you hope for it to go. And anyway, random thoughts from a slightly mourning mother. You know? Do y'all remember last year when we were talking about setting this up as a perennial space with berries? That's still the plan, but I am really glad that we did not do that yet, because we're starting to build our house, and as it turns out, we're actually gonna have to dig a line straight through this garden space to tie in to our septic field, which is out in the pasture. And had I set up perennial beds and had to dig through them, I would have been very heartbroken. We're really pretty good about planning things long-term enough that we don't usually have to work around our own work so much. But we had talked about doing something different, and Maya was planning on like taking the line through like where the driveway out to the barn is, but this is going to be much more direct. And since he found out I was planning on reworking the space, he's like, would it be okay if we did this? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I may just go ahead and plant potatoes over here again this spring and push off this turning into a berry space until after we have all of that establishing done. I'm thinking we'll do potatoes on this end and dig the line over there and kind of take it through. There's going to be a little bit of space between the raised bed garden and this perennial garden where I'm not trying to plant anything, and there's not going to be a lot of weight on it, and that would be a good place to have that line go through. So probably just this is going to be potato space again this year. Gardening goals don't always have to happen the next season. It's okay to have plans that you plan to put in place over time. Well, y'all, I gotta go be Mom, the taxi driver, for the evening. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today and all the days that you do. I bless you. Until next time.